God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Shore Speak podcast. So today I have the opportunity to speak to an artist from Detroit by the name of Dykkon. He was a great guest. He told us some awesome nuggets of information. So you guys take a listen and check out what he had to say. He was known to formerly rap with MC Reed. Shout out to MC Reed. Rest in peace. And here we go. Check this out. What's up, Dykkon? Thank you for giving us some of your time. So how did you get started in the industry?
What's going on? I appreciate y'all giving me the time and being here.
Absolutely.
It's a blessing to be able to get my word out. I appreciate you.
Sure.
Basically, in the industry, I kind of was drawn to it just from watching TV a lot. But technically, I wrote my first song when I was like in the 8th grade.
Wow,
and
really?
The way that happened was, back then, I'm about to tell my age, but it was breakdancing and hip hop was everything. The culture was more surrounded by the dancing and the music. Rapping was just really getting started. So I was heavily into the graffiti in New York and what was going on. I had the pleasure of being able to go to New York at a young age. So I kind of seen what was happening. I didn't live there or nothing like that, but I visited.
Okay.
So by the time I got into like the 8th grade, I was calling myself a breakdancer.
Okay.
So basically, I challenged one of my classmates to a breakdance contest. And back then, like, we was able to bring our boxes. In case everybody don't know what a box is, that's your big radio,
Yes,
a boom box.
Right.
So we was able to take them to school with no problem. And when we had gym time and stuff like that, we could, cut loose a little bit.
Okay.
So basically, long story short, he beat me in the breakdance contest.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, we gonna have a rap battle tomorrow when we come to school. You know what I'm saying? So be ready.
Okay.
So I went home that night and I wrote a whole diss rhyme dissing my man. That was like my first. I never had even attempted to write a rhyme, really. You know what I mean? I just was a fan of it, like Run DMC, LL Cool J, whatever.
Right.
So from the fact that I just took a loss, I guess that inspired me to write. You know what I mean? And that's what I did. So I wrote a diss rap against him and came back to school the next day, and we had a substitute teacher in one of our classes, and she let me spit my rhyme. You know what I mean? And he wasn't prepared. He didn't go home and write him a rap. I don't even know if he could rap. I was just so outdone because I lost the dance contest. I'm like, the only way to redeem myself is to battle rap against you.
Right.
So I can't even say if he was a rapper or not. Like, when I think about it in hindsight, he might not even couldn't rap at all because he never came with his rhyme. So teacher let me spit my rhyme, and everybody in the class liked it, and then it was on from there ever since. You know what I'm saying? But I started recording professionally like at 14.
What was the first song you recorded at 14? Do you remember?
Man, I can't even tell you. I don't even have it. Like, the way that went down, it was like, because studio time back then was expensive. So
right.
Basically, we had like in Detroit. Are you from Detroit, right?
Yes, I'm absolutely a Detroit native.
Okay, so you remember the scene, right?
Maybe a little bit. I'm like 39.
Okay, well, in your era, it would have been a new dance show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but before then, in my era, it was called The Scene.
Okay.
Nat Morris and all them guys and everything. So basically, it was a local TV dance show, something like Soul Train, right?
Right.
So they would have these commercials, and it was a commercial. This guy named Marvin, he had a little studio set up at this world-renowned studio called The Disc on the Detroit's east side.
Okay.
So he was giving out studio time for $20 an hour. So I don't know where I got the money from. I can't even tell you right now. But I came up on the studio time money and had my mom drop me off at the studio, and all I had was a rap. So he basically let me go through some of his beats, and we picked the beat that fit the rap, and we cut it, right?
Right.
But I didn't pay for the beat. You know what I'm saying? I'm just paying for the studio time.
Right.
So all he did was give me a copy of it on the cassette. So I didn't know nothing about keeping my masters or none of that, but it really wasn't my master because I didn't pay for the beat or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, that was my little demo tape, and that's really what got me in a lot of doors from that point on. But I don't have it, and that guy went missing, and so I never heard from him again, never seen him again, and never recorded with him again. You know what I mean? It was just that one-off situation, but I had a demo.
Wow.
So that was like my first introduction to recording professionally, and that's what it was. But I don't even know the name of the song. I don't even know how it went because it was like a million bucks and joints ago. So you know what I'm talking about? Real.
So since you've been out here doing your music thing, have you worked with any major artists, or are there any major artists you want to work with?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because it's like a two-pronged answer to that question.
Okay.
First of all, as far as locally in Detroit, I work with one of the most renowned independent labels from our city, which was World One Records.
Okay.
So they put out acts like Easy B and DJ Los, Chaos and Maestro, Ebony and Her Business, and they was behind a few other acts that they didn't put out themselves, but you know they was helping to cultivate. And I was, fortunately for me, that demo tape I made got me in the door with them, and I was kind of on their roster. So I started off as like a featured artist doing background vocals for them. So I'm actually on the first Chaos Maestro album as a backup vocalist.
Wow, okay.
I was in Easy B and DJ Lo's first video. So I was working closely with World One Records at the time, and that was headed by a guy named Butch Small, but basically he's one of the world-renowned percussionists from the city. Carl Butch Small. He played on everything in hip-hop that's hot. I'm going to say from Death Row. When Death Row first became hot, Butch was working with Death Row. So Dr. Dre used him on the Chronic album, and he used him on Snoop Dogg Doggy Style album, as well as he became head of the studio for Death Row, head of Death Row Studios. So he was in charge of studio time and coordinating all the acts and all of that. So that's like my uncle, because even before I got into the music business, he was a friend, a close friend of the family. So I kind of was like born around it, but I didn't know that they was doing it on the level that they was doing it on, because I kind of discovered music by myself, within myself. So when I got out here and started pushing myself, I started seeing that a lot of people that I already knew and some of my family members was heavy in the game, and I didn't even know it. So my first introduction to working with major celebrities was working with Carl Butch Small. And if anybody don't know who that is, you don't know Detroit music history. You know what I'm saying? Because he go all the way back to Was Not Was. He was actually, Carl Butch Small is the first Detroit rapper, because he rapped on a track called Woodward Squeaks and Out Come the Freaks. I don't know if you remember that track, but that was done by Was Not Was, and it went like Woodward Squeaks and Out Come the Freaks. So Butch Small was the guy that was actually rapping on that. So that was the first Detroit rap that ever in history got on wax on a major level. So Butch was one of co-owners of World One Records, along with John Maxey and Gene David. So from like 14 to like 21, I was with that World One Records group, entourage, or whatever you want to say, however you want to call it. And we were some of the hottest rappers in Detroit at the time. Like, that was our second generation of Detroit hip hop. The evolution of Detroit hip hop, we was like the second generation of that. So basically, we had like what the major labels had was artist development and things of that nature. So I was coming up with them. So in '92, when they dropped their new label division, Raw Dog Records, they put out a local artist named Dykkon, and that was my first real rap feature where I got a verse on his album back in '92, and it was called "The 40 Made Me Do It." So that was the local artist that I worked with. Now, the major artist that I worked with on a national level, I worked with MC Breed from Flint. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, yes.
Yeah. And I worked with the Outlaws, Tupac Outlaws. So I got a track with Young Noble. Me and I'm in a group though, so it's called the Paper Boys. But we got a track called Shine, where MC Breed doing the hook and Young Noble doing the third verse. He put in an anchor on that. So as far as major artists, I would say that was the biggest artist I worked with. But on the album that Shine was on, we also got Elzai from Slum Village. We also got Mastermind Analysis on that album. So it's mainly so regional and local, but I guess Young Noble was the biggest artist that I ever got a chance to work with that got put out. But I got material. I got a song with Bone Crusher, but I ain't never put it out.
Why didn't you put it out?
Because you know how the industry is. You know, you got to clear stuff and stuff like that. So being the little fee he was charging, I ain't never paid him what he asked me to pay him. So I ain't never put it out because I ain't gonna do nothing like that if we don't got an agreement where you understand I'm about to drop this and then we work out it on the back end. But he wanted money on the front end, so I never gave him that money. But the track hot. If I ever catch up back with him and we can work something out, and I'm gonna drop it. You know what I mean? But other than that, I guess Young Noble and Bone Crusher was like the biggest artist that I worked with so far.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're making big strides out here, but you've been in the game for a long time. So, of course, by now, you done met some people. And MC Breed, to me, that's huge because back in the day, that was like that was my song. You know what I mean? Ain't no future in your front, and that was all. It was my everything. So clearly, you done made some strides.
It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad to me because Breed still ain't getting his flowers. You know what I'm saying? MC Breed was and will always be the first big breakout Midwest hip hop artist. So if people don't do their research or know what that means is the Midwest wasn't popping on a national level until Breed dropped that Ain't No Future in Your Front. You know what I'm saying? He was the first big rap superstar, not just from Michigan, but from the Midwest, period. You know what I mean? So people need to look at that. So that was my homie though. That's my man. He gave me a lot of jewels, and we worked together on some projects under the Paper Boys, and he was just cool people. And through him, I met everybody. That's how I met Young Noble. That's how I met DLC. I met Jazzy Faye. Because when he passed, they was at his funeral. So Breed really opened up the celebrity floodgates. So just being around him, like shout out to Dayton family, Bootleg from the Dayton family. I met all them through Breed. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. I know that had to make you feel good to be able to get out here and know that your music is out here pumping so much that you're able to meet these big people, because DLC, that's huge. That's huge.
Well, the single that I got out now called Motor City Boys, that was produced by DJ Lynn Swan.
So I'm sorry to cut you off. The Motor City Boys is the song that you just dropped to me in the link, featuring DJ Lynn Swan and Kerry Clark, right? Right. Okay, so y'all got 24K views. How are you guys promoting that music other than dropping it on YouTube?
Well, first of all, it's distributed through Vivo, so it's not just on YouTube. It's on every platform that Vivo is on. It's basically a Vivo video.
Okay.
But YouTube is it's easier to promote YouTube links other than like it's on. It's actually on the Vivo channel. It's on Apple Music. It's everywhere Vivo is.
Okay.
But it's the same catch-22 as when you drop with a distributor. You're in all these stores, but as an independent, your budget, you only gonna have enough money to really promote one platform and blow up on one platform. So that's basically my strategy. So I'm blowing it up on YouTube. Okay. As like I'm blowing up my Spotify. Like I get more streams on Spotify because I market my Spotify profile and I'm marketing my Vivo profile. But to go again and answer your question, I pay marketing services as well as I do marketing myself. So I do a certain amount myself, and then I pay other people to get me in the places that I need to get to be seen. So right now I'm about to launch the second phase of the video campaign. I'm about to launch so we can grab at least about 24 to 25 more thousand views, push us up to 50 views, and if everything is the same on WorldStar, I can shoot it to WorldStar, and they're gonna show me the love because I got over 50,000 views. They're gonna put it on their platform. So it's like a process, it's levels to this shit.
Right. You also have Dime Pieces, and that one doing pretty good too. You have 4.9K views, so that one doing pretty good. So it looked like all the music that you putting out here is sustaining. It's all good music.
Well, yeah, that's a blessing. I got a little bit of talent in my pinky finger, I would think. So, but as far as the music goes, I was trained by industry experts. So I try to have an ear to get something that's going to make the crowd move as well as make you shake your booty. You know what I mean? Right. So that helps right there because you got to have great music and then you got to be relatable. Right. You know what I mean? So right. I try to stay within those confines of that. And like I say, I'm marketing, man. I'm not just out here on the wing in a prayer because I've seen through my experience, it's not the talent, it's the hustle behind the music. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The only way you're going to get it out there is if you're doing the work and trying to get it out there. If you just singing a song and kind of sitting around, ain't nobody going to hear it. It won't get nowhere. You got to do the work.
Right. So to really fully answer your question, I'm doing the digital marketing thing, man. I'm taking out ads on Facebook. I'm taking out ads on Instagram. I'm taking out Google ads. I'm pushing it like that.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like you're doing pretty good. It looked like your channel has 3.26K subscribers. So you're doing pretty good. I mean, to be in the industry that long and able to still keep your music modern, you're changing with the times. You're not still stuck back when, and you keeping up to where your numbers look like this. This is awesome. This is awesome because to be honest,
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. To be honest, I just started hearing your music when you sent it to me. So now I'll start sharing it in the group, the music groups and stuff like that,
Well, I appreciate you.
Yeah, that's what this is. We trying to network and everybody trying to make it. So you give me the interview and then I'll post it to all the platforms that I have, and everybody that's listening to it will be familiar with you from listening to my platform, the people that you have when you post it,
right.
So it's just all a networking thing.
I need people to hear what's going on with my movement and, just to put it out there, like being independent, it can be discouraging and it can be frustrating at times because things move a little bit slower than when you get signed. But I've been signed.
Right.
And it's not nothing that's cracked up to be. It's all an illusion. Like I got situations where I never got paid for music and I got the exposure, but I didn't get the paycheck. You know what I'm saying? But I got to work with major artists, but it ain't no fun if you ain't getting the funds. You feel me?
Absolutely not. You need the money in order to keep things going. Everything costs, nothing's free. So
right. You gotta pay them bills.
Yeah, I don't even understand how that can be an issue. If I'm working for you, I should be getting paid, right?
Yeah, but that's the way the industry is designed. The music industry has always been designed to work against the artist. When it's really sad because the artist fuels the industry, right? Mm-hmm. But if you do your research and you go back and even if you look at some of these people contracts and stuff like that, where you had artists speak out like they didn't like their contract later on, it's because even with the lawyer, some of that language is so elusive, you don't really understand the full what it means.
Right, the full scope of the contract of what you actually signing up for.
And then you don't know, some of your managers is working with these labels, and your lawyer might be working with these labels or have a relationship with these people, and they be hiding things from you. And like I say right now, I'm owed money. Since 1992, that was my first feature as a rap artist that I was able to get a verse on a track. But even back to 88 and 89 when I was doing my backup vocals, that's how far back my career goes. And every time I did something, I never got paid until I started putting out my own music myself.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it could be very disheartening and discouraging. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if it's a passion, if you got that passion, you will never stop. So like with me, it's embedded in my DNA. So even if I don't care how long it take or how old I get, I'm gonna always make music, and I'm gonna always try to put it out there if it's after I test market it and people feeling it, and then I'm gonna drop it. You know what I mean? But other than that, you got to figure out how to get paid, and the only way you can get paid for real is to control everything. Like right now, I'm getting paid because I own all my publishing, I own all my masters. So yeah, the money coming in, but I ain't getting Jay-Z money right now, but the money coming in is all coming to me. So that's a big difference.
That's a huge difference. Not big, huge. You know what I mean? When you get your paycheck and you don't have to divvy it out to this person, that person, you get to get your paycheck and it's yours. I mean, other than bills.
Everybody that work with me getting they cut too. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big difference too. Like a lot of the music that I'm dropping right now, I made years and years and years ago, but I still put it out because first of all, it's quality music. It can make you move your head and bob your head, and then it's a loyalty factor with the artists that I worked with at that time to let them know that what I said then still stand right now. We gonna get this money, and we a team, and we a movement, and we gonna eat together. So I gotta drop that. I can't be chasing every new producer or just jumping on different bandwagons because the music might not sound exactly what it sound like today. But I got some of that too. I just ain't put it out yet.
Wow. What would you say? How much music would you say you got like in your vault? You just holding on to?
I probably got about. I don't even know. If I put everything out, I got about 4 albums and probably 3 mixtapes if I put everything out. But I'm not dropping everything like that. Like some things it's just gonna be a single, it's gonna be a one-off, and I ain't gonna do nothing else. It's just gonna be a single. So I got a ton of music. It's just being in a position to release it the right way. Which what I mean by the right way is when I release it, I got marketing behind it immediately. You know what I mean? So because if you don't, it's just gonna sit there, and that's the biggest heartbreak of all. If you just seeing your music just sit there and it ain't moving, and then the people that you think in your corner and so called supporting you don't move a finger, because this day and age, like I come from where you had to make a whole CD or a vinyl record or a cassette tape. You had to manufacture that boy, then you had to package it, and then you had to get out here and sell it. You know what I'm saying? You had to sell it. Today, you don't even got to do all that. You just need some artwork and some great music, and just post it. And then if people, support you, they gonna share it or whatever. Right. So my thing is, like, to my family members, I'm like, man, you ain't gotta like my music, but you my cousin, so you better post this shit and share this shit. You know what I'm saying? Somebody or in your network gonna vibe to it.
Right.
If you vibe to it. You know what I mean? Because I don't make music for everybody. I make music for me. And if you like my music, then you must be something like how I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never got into the phase of trying to do what everybody else is doing. Right. I just make what I like to make. And if I'm feeling it, then I test it with other people to see if they feeling it. Okay. And they'll give me the feedback I need, and then I'm going to drop it. You feel me?
Okay. That's what's up. So it sounds like you already, like you said, you know the game. You've been out here. This is nothing new for you. The best thing about it is probably, like you said, over time, instead of having to do all the extracurricular stuff to get some music out here, now you can just kind of get your stuff out here, pop it on YouTube and all these social media outlets, and try to let people hear it. But of course, like you said too, you got to have that marketing. So
right, because I'm gonna give you a prime example. Like, okay, the first time I ever went in the studio, it was with Marvin, and he was charging $20 an hour, but that wasn't even none of the main studio rooms. Like, anybody that that ever went to a real recording studio, they got separate rooms and stuff. So at the disc, you had studio A, B, and C. I wasn't in none of those studios, so I didn't pay that price. But when I went to, when I got with World One Records and I was trying to have them sign me, I never approached them as sign me as an artist. I always had backing, right? So I had investors. Let's say I had investors. Okay. So my thing with them was, I was like, just distribute this music and put me out there. We gonna pay for it, right? So I went in with them and I paid for all my studio time. So back then, it was like $65 an hour with people that I grew up with and I knew. They still charged me $65 an hour for the studio. That's just to record. I still had to go in and rent the equipment because I had no musical equipment. I ain't had no gear. I just was really discovering myself. So I had to go in there and use their keyboards, their beat machines, everything that they had. I got charged for that. And even when I took a lunch break, I was still on the clock. So by the time I got out the studio, I spent all the little money I had, and I still wound up owing them money, and they kept my masters.
Oh, wow.
They thought I was going to be able to come back. Their excuse was, when you come back to finish, then you can pay us the balance and we'll give you your masters. Right. But when I took an unfinished product back to my investors wanted to roll with it, and I was 15, man. I didn't understand that I was working for them for real. Like, this was really their music because they paid for it, right? Right. And I was upset because by me being 15, I explained to my investors, one of y'all need to come to the studio with me and show these people I got representation, because these was grown ass men I was going to work with. These wasn't, back in them days, everybody didn't have a studio in their basement. These was not kids making music and putting music out here. These was grown-ass men with major financial ties into the music business. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, when you didn't come with no representation, they didn't take me as serious as I wanted them to take me. Like, because I'm not a grown man. I'm a teenager to them. Right. Even though they respected my money, they didn't respect me as a businessman. Right. So that's why I didn't walk out of there with my masters. That's why they didn't take me off the clock when I went to lunch. That's why they was charging me all this money to rent. And these was my people, but at the same time, business is business. You know what I'm saying? Business. So I was kind of upset with my investors, and I didn't allow them to roll with the music. They like wanted to roll with it and vibe to it. But at this point, I'm not even trusting nobody. I'm like, no, man, this is all I got. I still got a right to it. Long story short, they never invested in me again. So now I had to go from financing my own project to trying to get a record deal with these people. So that kind of hindered my situation. If I had just been a little bit less hot-headed and just understood the nature of when somebody give you their money and this is theirs, and you working for them, if I had understood that dynamic, I probably would have went a little bit farther back then to get more music out and be was considered as one of Detroit hip hop pioneers. But I never did because I didn't get that consistent backing. But what happened with that track was my so-called friend sold it to another so-called friend, and they dropped it. And so it became a Detroit classic anyway. But I never got the credit for it. You know what I mean? So.
And which one was that?
A.W.A.L. dropped the track called "You Don't Want None of This." I executively produced the track that they used. They sampled it. They sampled my melody from that.
Okay.
And they recreated the song around the piano melody. But the piano melody is actually me playing the piano on that track. And they dropped it, and it instantly became a Detroit classic because they had the visuals, they had the backing, they had the money at the time, and I was familiar with their DJ because I was running with DJ crews and stuff like that. So me and him had a conversation, but I never had a conversation with their management or the actual two rappers that rapped the song. So unfortunately, he was murdered. Rest in peace to DJ Homicide. You know
rest in peace. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was still my man. We still hung out and everything because I kind of had a feel for the music business. So my take on it at the time was, man, y'all just give me my credit on the credits, and I don't even want no money. Y'all don't owe me nothing. Just give me my credit so everybody know I had a hand in producing this track with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted people to know I had something to do with that track.
Right.
But they still never even did that. So, you know, the people that know, the industry insiders know, but the world don't know. You feel me?
Right, and it would be helpful if the world knew. Very helpful.
Right, because I mean, I'm putting it out there, but you know, it still got to get validated from the people that was around at the time. Because I could just be blowing smoke and saying anything. You feel me?
Right. But the people who know, what's up. But like you said, the world don't know. What's your favorite song to perform and why?
I gotta say, my favorite song to perform would have to be "It's a Mardi Gras." That's on the album.
Yeah, I listened to it. Yeah, I listened to it. You sent me the link for it with the Motor City Boys, and then it sent me to your page, and I listened to the other ones as well.
Yeah, that's my favorite song to perform. It's very exciting to perform that song because it's a true story on my verses. So it actually happened. I'm using a lot of creative licensing, of course,
right?
But it's something that happened to me in real life. Like my life is like a movie sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So I basically write everything based on my own experiences or my creativity and my imagination. So yeah, Mardi Gras is one of my most favorite songs to perform because it's easier for me to remember it because it was so exciting because it happened to me for real. So it's like I'm always eager to tell that story.
Right.
And it's just a different way I approached. Because that's the first time like I'm using auto-tune, and it's like I'm really exploring my creativity by I'm not gonna say I'm a singer, but I'm harmonizing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
On the hook, that's me on the hook with some auto-tune, and I got one of my close dogs on there. It's Lil from Glen Street Productions. TID, shout out to TID, Sweezy, and that whole movement. You know, shout out to Lil and all them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So he on there. So it's a very fun song to perform because of the beat is up tempo and it's not really something you used to hearing. It's not a track from Detroit. Actually, right. It's a track that's out of North Carolina. I work with some cats down there called Ill Music, You can check them out at illmusic.com.
Okay.
And so I got 2 tracks from them on the album. It's a Mardi Gras and Put It in the Air. So it kind of brings me like to what's current and what's going on right now. You know what I'm saying? As far as sonically, and as far as I love telling that story. You know what I mean? Because it actually happened to me.
So that's your one, and just the art on it is pretty. All the pretty colors, it make you feel good when you listen to it. But like you said, I didn't know that was you harmonizing. I did not know that, so I'm gonna go back and listen to that part. I didn't know that was you. I didn't pick up on that. So thank you again, Dykkon R.A.N, for your time. That was an awesome interview. He dropped us with some nuggets of information about the city and some of the rappers from the city. So shout out to all the rappers he mentioned. And thank you for joining me on the Shore Speak podcast.